Just a couple of best friends hanging out, best friends hanging out, best friends hanging out.
Yeah. Well, it's your boy here, Stewart, Good, and I have to completely admit, I did basically zero research for this podcast. I'm basically like Sean O'Malley leading up to the draft. It pretty much... Well, I'm talking shit on Sean O'Malley, but he whooped my ass last week pretty bad. I'm taking a look at the scores here. I was a fourth lowest score with 109. Like, generally, you're happy with over 100, close to 110. That was the lowest my team has scored. So all you people talking shit about pretenders, let's look at where y'all are, since you called me pretenders. All right, we got Weaver, 146. All right, fuck, that's pretty good. All right, we got Colin, 132, pretty good. But prior to that, you scored 75, Weaver. And I'm pretty sure when Colin named his team Fuck Me Right, he scored 76. So I have the lowest score I've had is 109.54. I've scored, I guess, only 40 more points than Colin in total, and I guess only 15 more than Aaron. I probably should have thought this one out better. But all I'm saying is before you start calling me a pretender, at least my team is fairly consistent. You guys are busty, dude. Boom or bust. Just straight busters, dude. Yeah, Busta Rhymes should be your theme song for this week, but unfortunately, I'm actually working with one hand here because I forgot my microphone stand, so I'm just holding the microphone like a MC or something. I don't know, like a bingo host. So let me think. What were we talking about today? We got a lot on the docket. We've got PG&E power outages here, which is kind of bullshit. Apparently, PG&E caused a lot of the fires up here due to their faulty infrastructure blowing over in the wind and catching shit on fire and destroying people's homes and lives. So, in order to avoid all of that litigation, I hear that they declared bankruptcy. So they avoided paying out a lot of the money that was owed for these lawsuits over the fires. And I also hear, and this is all, I'm not like a political talk show host or anything like that, but from what I've heard is they also awarded their CEO a $15 million bonus. So it seems pretty shady for old PG&E right now. I mean, if you can invest in solar, that's what would be the case, right? Because everyone's getting their power shut off, 800,000 people in Northern California. Not us. They keep threatening. It was supposed to be midnight, and then it was supposed to be, 12 o'clock yesterday, 12 p.m., and then it was supposed to be 5 p.m., then it was supposed to be midnight last night, woke up, power's still here. So fuck it, I'm going to do this podcast while we have power. And I can, it's more the Wi-Fi. I can run this shit off batteries and then, do whatever. Well, I think it's time to finally crown Bill as perhaps the greatest fantasy player this league has ever seen. He just continues to impress year after year after year. It's pretty incredible. 5-0 so far. Fantasy defense isn't even as legendary as it generally is. Right now, our best fantasy defense goes to Count Chocula, which makes sense because every time he plays, it seems like... every time he's won, it seems as if, he gets a break, and it's some kind of weird, 90-90 matchup. Let's see what he had last week. He had 96-93, won that one. And where is he over here? Count Chocula, 99-87. And then, of course, his pitiful losses. Where are you? Oh, 80-104. Even then, have I scored the most against you? Jesus, dude. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Yeah, all right, so Hawk and Cox scored 2 more points than me this week, but 111 is your highest points against Chocula. So I think that's pretty impressive fantasy defense from the Count here. Clearly, he's doing something right in that regard. But yeah, Stewart over here is pretty fucking exhausted. We just finished recording our record. I was driving about an hour each way to Petaluma to get it mixed, about 3 days a week for a month. And we finally just packaged it all up and sent it out to get mastered from this place called Lursen Mastering. We found them through just seeing basically what we did was we kind of wanted to hold no expense on this record because we figure if we're ever going to get to that next step, you kind of got to just sound good in the recordings. You can't just play shows forever. You got to have something that sounds good that people want to share with their friends. So we decided to spare no expense, and we looked up some people who won Grammys for mastering, and we found Lursen, and they actually work with artists. So, I mean, underground artists like us. They're not just working with like Beyonce and shit. So we went with them, and they're getting it mastered, and they're going to pump it out to us in the next couple days, and then it's done. So that's been a huge stress on my life. I didn't even get to watch any football. I was in the studio all day on Sunday. But it seemed like every single person had their players go off except for me. The highest score I got was Marlon Mack at 16 points. Like, I feel like everyone had a 30-point player. Charkula had 32 from bullshit DJ Chark. It's just, I just felt like I didn't get that one boom that I needed. If I had a few guys just, do a little bit better. Like, Julio Jones scoring 5.5 is so fucking brutal for me. It's just tough. That being said, I still have, wow, geez, poor Bacon. I just realized you have the third most points in the league, and you're just getting boat raced on defense. There's 690. That would be the best player in the league, the highest score, points for 690 for the points against Bacon. True Comeback Story also has a tough go at 672, but he's sitting at 2-3. So I think half of Bacon's points for, though, are from the New England defense. But yeah, man. It's I still have 637 here, so not that bad at all. Not bad at all. I guess that's good for fourth most, so I'm usually in that Colin spot. Colin, you really got to change that name. No one's going to kill you. Just relax, sir. It's all good. It's all good. 544 is a pretty damn good fantasy defense, Colin. So no one's fucking you, okay? Except for us fucking you over your name. Like, that thing is so bad. I heard a pretty cool story about Deshaun Watson. I guess he was like, born in like extreme poverty, and then the Warwick Dunn Foundation got him and his family a home because his mom like did 3 hours of community service or something and qualified. And then that kind of changed his life, and Falcons players would like, follow him through the news, and they would like check out his box scores for high school. He was a ball boy for the Falcons, and then he just torched the Falcons last week. So it's a cool story. I'm sure you guys all saw that. I saw Weaver drink 10 beers. According to Colin, that would be 5 beers because they're all half full. I mean, at least Colin's an optimist. Half full is good. But yeah, that was a tough loss, Weaver. I'm sorry to see it. It feels like, say what you will about the Dodgers being like this West Coast evil empire, like the West Coast Yankees or whatever. But they just seem to be snake bit. They're like what is it, the 80s Buffalo Bills, or was that early 90s, or both? Anyway, they just seem to always be one of the top teams and then just get, the worst luck. I mean, how many winner-take-all games have they lost in the past few years? Really sucks. Yeah, so sorry about that, Weaver. I know that you love that team and you hate to see someone's team let them down that hard. Man. And one more thing before I start talking more about fantasy football is the Lakers look really damn good. I know it's just the preseason, but they are huge. And I don't know why JaVale McGee is just constantly underrated. Constantly underrated. he's such a good player. So yeah, they made the Warriors, their height difference was impossible. Like it looked like a JV team against a high school team, not in terms of skill, in terms of size. It was pretty ridiculous. They were just dunking on us and shit. All right, so again, I'm woefully unprepared this week. I've been super busy. Next week, I promise I'll have a better episode, but I'm just going to do a little bit of a, preview to the matchups like I generally do. All right, we're going to start out with Kyler, barely know her, against Ezekiel, saw the deal. We got, I'm a, silver level now. I seem to have upgraded with my brutal loss. It doesn't make any sense, but that's cool. And I'm up against Ezekiel, saw the deal. Let's see what we got here. We got Jackson versus Ryan. Lamar Jackson seems to have regressed back into a running quarterback, which is brutal. Watched the highlights today. Holding the ball too long. It doesn't really seem like he's seeing the field that well. I don't think that the Steelers are like this elite defense or anything, so that was really tough to watch. But I guess with that kind of matchup, you can just throw the records out the window. He has Cincinnati this week. I think he bounces back. Maybe has like probably 22 is a good projection. I'm hoping for closer to 30, but of course that's what you hope. Matt Ryan against Arizona, that has, in the Dome, that has potential to be a wild kind of shootout. Matt Ryan, despite not looking good in real life, his fantasy numbers are solid. I mean, his season low is 15, and that was in a game where they scored 10 points, so it's like that's a pretty damn good floor for a quarterback. I like my upside better. I like his floor better, so I think we're probably going to meet somewhere in the middle. It'll be a wash. My receiving core, I think, is better than his. Will Fuller did go off big time. Obviously that happened. He actually could have had 4 touchdowns. He got wrapped up at the half-yard line and couldn't stick the ball out. And then Scott Spoy ran it in from like a half-yard out. But what an impossible day he had. What was that? 16 targets, 14 receptions, 217, 3 touchdowns, almost a fourth, which would have brought him to 53 points. I don't see him having another day like that. Larry Fitzgerald, great floor kind of player. 21, 12, 12, 7, 8. I guess the last few weeks have been a little rough, but yeah, 10 points seems right. I think I probably have the edge on this one. Julio Jones, I don't understand what's going on with him. It's pretty frustrating. 12, 26, 22, and then 7 and 5. Only 7 targets the last 2 games. It's like he's injured, I think. He did not practice. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. He needs to just be better for me if I have a chance. I think Melvin Gordon bounces back in a big way. I think the game script kind of eliminated him from the second half, but he got a lot of run in the first half. 12 attempts is not bad. I mean, like 2.7 yards a carry or whatever the fuck it was. It's pretty bad, but Ezekiel Elliott is playing the Jets, which is really tough for me. We got Aaron Jones against Detroit. So his running backs are probably just going to boat race me. Yeah, I got Jordan Howard, baby. Yeah, baby, Jordan Howard. Man. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that, man. I got Mac on the bench, and now my... man, it's going to be tough for me this week. It's going to be tough. I'm really hoping that I bounce back with some big plays from my stars, but it's not looking good, man. We got Zach Ertz versus Kelsey. He has the edge in that one, so his running backs and tight end kind of beat me. His flex, Lindsey against Tennessee. I like Tennessee's defense, so I don't like Lindsey in that matchup. I think DJ Moore has a big game against Tampa Bay. So I have to pick Adam to win this one. Unfortunately, got to pick against myself. It's never fun to do that, but it's what you got to do. You bet with your head, not your heart. So there you go. We got Locketed, Cocked, and Loaded. Still hanging on to that little Trumpy idea that he had for the name. Still a pretty low hanging fruit, I think. It's not really that great of a name, if we're being honest, Andrew. So maybe we should spitball some ideas. Those are kind of my favorite, like, running threads in the group me's, is when we just come up with names for other people, and they're generally all better than the names that they already have for them, which is hilarious to me. Colin is probably in power rankings historically the worst team namer of all time, but I think right here we have a matchup of two guys that are right there with him, with Andrew and Weaver. So Weaver's playing my boy Deshaun Watson I just talked about. I think he has a big game against Kansas City. I think Wentz kind of struggles against Minnesota. Wide receiving core, Hopkins probably has a big day. Thomas has a big day. Jacksonville can't stop anyone. And I think Tyler Boyd has a mediocre day. So Lockett against Cleveland, could be good. Thielen, squeaky wheel gets the grease for him. But what's this questionable situation here? Ooh. He didn't practice Thursday. That's not good. Oh, he's legitimately sick. Okay. Because apparently Stephon Diggs is not legitimately sick. Stephon Diggs, I don't know what's up with that guy. But yeah, the squeaky wheel gets the grease for Thielen. He was complaining about his role after a 1.6 kind of day. Bounced back with 28.5. I mean, he had the same target, so maybe it just wasn't equal targets. Like some of those targets are further down the field. They're just more open. And yeah, anyway, so the classic squeaky wheel gets the grease bounce back game. You got Scantling. I don't know. Maybe you are a pretender, Pebbles. I don't really like your team this week. Thielen, I think he comes back down to earth, probably around 10 points. Lockett, who knows with Cleveland? I have no idea. I mean, your Seahawks could definitely go off against Cleveland, but who really knows? Kamara against Jacksonville. I mean, Christian McCaffrey just had a day. Best running back in the league. Just had a day out there. So Kamara could easily have one as well. Or they could, have that classic bounce back game where they're like, we just gave up 1 million yards to a white running back, so we're going to tighten up the screws, and the next running back doesn't get nearly as much. And that's where Thomas would come in, because now he might, they might stack the box against the run to try to, prevent the same embarrassment they had last time. And then Thomas comes out. So that could be a thing. So Weaver winning the Everett sweepstakes, hoping to get the same target volume. 8 and 11 is not bad at all. I mean, both of those game scripts were pretty insane, 55-40, 30-29. But if that's the kind of game that they're playing, I don't think it's the kind of game they play against the Niners. Oh, and the Niners, man, you guys must be so fired up about the Niners. And this is a battle of Niners fans, so not a single Niner on either team. So the homer is not strong with you guys. Do you have any, even on the bench, do you have Niners? Where are we at here? Minnesota? Nope. Yeah, no Niners. It's kind of weird how a team with absolutely zero offensive star power is bombarding the league. I guess it's that defense. I saw an interesting stat that Jimmy GQ has basically the same stats as Case Keenum did, but Case only did it in 3.5 games. So Garoppolo's definitely struggling, despite what everyone likes to say about him. I think he is mediocre at best. I think they could do a lot better. It's hard to imagine them doing much better, right? They're destroying teams, but I think that's mainly on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, big test for the Niners this week. They're finally, I think what is the combined records for their team, like 5-15 or something like that. So not really tested. Everyone's crowning the Browns, but can we really ever crown the Browns? I mean, they're just a diva team. I thought it was hilarious, the whole Baker Mayfield not shaking hands before the game. So petty. He's got to be better than that. That's not going to win you any fans, I don't think. Anyway, back to the matchup. We got Carson versus Ingram. I think it's a wash. I actually think, especially with the matchup Cincinnati-Cleveland, I think it's a wash. Edmonds, hate that play, especially if DJ plays. I love the notes here. Hey, here's some advice, Weaver. The 23-year-old still isn't on the redraft flex radar, so he's not even on the flex radar. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. D.D. Westbrook had a pretty big game against the Panthers. Sneaky big game. He got 11 targets. Didn't get the touchdowns, but 11 targets is a sneaky big game. Austin Eckler, still valuable, especially if they're kind of playing from behind a lot, which unfortunately for Colin, it looks like the Chargers could be that. I feel like they hit rock bottom last week. Like they're like that alcoholic dad who like wakes up in his like 5-year-old daughter's room in a pool of his own vomit. That was basically the San Diego Chargers last week. I'll never understand why teams that aren't even down a lot don't go for the field goal like on the 5-yard line. It's like, I get like there's all those statistics about like, oh, you should definitely go for it when you're, fourth and short because the analytics say that, and then you'll have them pinned and then blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, or they could drive it 95 yards and take up like 10 minutes of the clock, and then you're down 9 like the Chargers were, and then you're down two possessions and you're fucked. But you would be a 1-possession game, and then you'd have life. So yeah, there's something to be said for, going for the tie in certain situations. There's something to be said, which I've always bitched about on the GroupMe thread. Like, you get a touchdown, you're up 7. Why are you going for 1 to be up 8? Like, then they still have the 1-score potential, and yeah, they still have to make the 2-point conversion. But if you go for 2 and then you get the 2-point conversion, you're betting on yourself rather than betting on them to fail. You're betting on yourself to succeed. And then you're up 2 possessions, 9. And that's what happened to the Panthers. They gave up like 3 very catchable Hail Marys in the end of that game. And they would have been up 9. I mean, it's easy to say that when their kicker misses the extra point too, but go up 9, then it's over. I don't have to sit here and sweat my nuts off like watching Gardner Minshew, the GOAT, freaking throw very catchable Hail Marys. So I guess that last one was very catchable for Luke Kuechly, and he batted it down. He didn't want a stat pad. Stat pad? Yeah, stat pad. Anyway, I like the top end of these rosters for Weaver and Lockety Cocked and Loaded, but it just gets tough for old Weaver starting the Cleveland kicker in Seattle. Weaver, kickers are not as random as you think. You can't just start any kicker and they're going to score like 13 points, 10 points consistently. You can't start a shitty kicker on a shitty team that scored 3 points, 13 points, and 13 points in their losses and expect, like, yeah, they scored 40 points when they won and 23 points when they won against the Jets. But, dude, this is Seattle. It's going to be a different game. They're not random, Weaver. Kickers are not random, just like the rest. I mean, like, they are random to a certain extent. Everything's random in fantasy football, but there's predictability in this randomness, right? Like, you can predict that Mark Ingram is probably going to score more points than Justice Hill. It might not happen, but you can predict it. And it's the same thing with kickers. If they have a good offense and they have a fucking accurate, boomy leg, they're going to get more points on average. And that's why generally the same kickers lead the league every year in fantasy points, because they have reliable offenses, they're accurate, and they have powerful legs. And I don't know who this Siebert dude is, but yeah, you're going to continue complaining about kickers when you start Austin Siebert of the Cleveland Browns against Seattle. Anyway, rant over about that. Mike Nugent, see, there's Andrew picking the kicker on a good team. Yeah, he's kind of a kicker we've never heard about, but he's on the Patriots, dude. Put up 9 last week. He has more opportunity because he's going to be in the red zone much more. And they're going to have the ball. They're going to drive the ball into the, anyway, fuck it. Rant really over now. Anyway, I got Locketed, Cocked, and Loaded in this one. Weaver, be better with kickers. And second string running backs. I guess are you on a bye week? Pretty brutal bye week? Yeah, Jacobs. Who you benched last week? It's starting to be like, if a player has the opportunity which Josh Jacobs does. 23 attempts, 12 attempts, 10 attempts, and that's not even showing his passing. His receiving history. You kind of got to start your guys, right? You got to start the studs. You can't be scared of the defense they're going up against. And that's the way I'm starting to feel about it. It's always tough. Like, who did you play instead of him? Or, oh shit, wrong one here. Let me click on you. All right, week 5. Who did he play? Jalen Samuels. Oof. Yeah, that's a big oof. You still won, so. You got carried by Deshaun Watson and Michael Thomas and Tyler Boyd. So, good on you. Austin Seibert, though, 3 points. Rolling out with him again. Anyway. So, locked and cocked and loaded for that one. Let's go back to these matchups. Oh, this is a good one. We got M. Dunn Jr., so I guess that's Maxwell Dunn's unborn child against level bronze Tyler Bacon, despite having the third most points in the league. Was it second most? What did I say? Tom Brady, Evil Empire. Josh Gordon, Evil Empire. New England defense, Evil Empire. You go, dude. I like how you're just saying fuck it and going all Patriots. It's not the worst strategy. I mean, you're scoring a fucking shit ton of points. How many other you have to have more Patriots? Come on, dude. No, I guess not. All right. So, yeah, obviously Wilson's going to destroy that Tom Brady-Wilson matchup, especially Thursday night weathery games, I guess. It's supposed to be rainy. So, I would, I wouldn't want to start Jared Goff against the Niners defense either. But, got Brady-Wilson, I got Wilson. See Gordon, Ridley, who seems to be turning into Julio Jones. Like, fuck, dude, can Julio get and Sanu. Wow, you're rolling with everyone but Julio. So, Odell Beckham Jr., obviously going to suck. Glad I traded him. 8 points, 3 points, 4 points. Really a little tough go for him. I don't see him bouncing back against Seattle. But, yeah, Todd Gurley against San Francisco. That's going to be tough. Got Kittle going against the Rams, Bell against Dallas, and Aaron Jones made Dallas look so small last week. So small. So I could see Bell actually having a decent game, especially with Darnold back. Maybe they're a little bit better. I like Cook against Philly. I guess I like Henry against Denver. You know, I think I'm just going to go with Bacon here and his bronze self. New England defense is going to feast on this rookie quarterback. I heard on the Bill Simmons podcast or something like that like New England defense has played only like rookie or second year quarterbacks. Pittsburgh, I guess they played Roethlisberger, right, for a little bit. Miami, obviously. New York Jets. I think that was what was that? The Darnold-less Jets at that point. Buffalo, Josh Allen, second year player. Washington. Who did they play in Washington? It wasn't Haskins, was it? It was it still Case Keenum? Anyway, fuck it. Might not be too correct. But yeah, Giants are playing Daniel Jones, or as Weaver would say, Emmanuel Jones. So I think they just feast on him and get at least 13 points. I could see it being much higher. Against the Philadelphia defense, it's tough. It's always funny looking at like defensive matchups, but with New England's defense, you have to look at it as a huge advantage. It's like if you're getting, what are they averaging? They have 14, 25, 37. How many total points do they have? Where does it say that here? It doesn't, huh? They're averaging probably close to 15, 16 points a game, which is pretty insane considering most defenses score around like 7. So that's a huge advantage. And then Tucker, again, pretty easy to predict. Boomy leg with an offense that moves the ball. And here we go again. Seattle, they're scoring a lot of points, and they're 4-1, which is impressive. I thought they were worse than that, but they're scoring a lot of points every time, 30, 27, 27. And he hasn't been as great with his kicking. I think that maybe the Seahawks might be a little bit riskier than most teams going for it on fourth down, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Russell Wilson's going to feast. I have to, pick Bacon, though, because the tight end, Kittle, I think is going to have a great game against the Rams. They're giving up the 15th most points at tight ends. But I don't think Kittle is the best tight end in the league, like Weaver keeps saying in the podcast. I think that has to go to Kelsey. I think that's pretty straightforward. I got old Bacon on that one. Where are we at? Charkula versus Jameson Sour. Okay, so Jacoby Brissett. All right, we got to look at these I picked up Matt Stafford off of the scrap heap, and just because I thought he was too good to be on the waiver wire. Gardner Minshew. I love it. Bill outbids Count Charkula with a, come on, Sean, you need a quarterback. What was your backup plan here? $3 for your starting quarterback this week. Okay. Everett. That was a good pickup, Aaron. We'll see what happens. The Washington defense. I thought that was kind of an interesting play. Yeah, they're playing Miami, but I think this could actually be that this matchup where Miami might blow their chance at tanking, because Washington's pretty fucking bad too. Like, let's be honest here. They're horrible. They've lost, Philly. They had that close game, and ever since then it's been downhill. And they're at Miami. Josh Rosen doesn't want to lose. Excuse me. If he keeps losing, he's just not going to have a job. So he wants to win. He doesn't want to suck, at least. He doesn't want to look terrible. This is basically like his audition for a backup role on another team. So, I think Washington could be in some kind of weird, shit shootout, like a college team shootout kind of thing this week. I think the Washington defense could be a tough play. They were picked up by a lot, they were like a trending defense or whatever. But anyway, let's look more at these bids. They're always fun to look at. Chase Edmonds. So everyone's loving this guy. I guess. I mean, I just don't get it, I guess. I guess DJ is brittle, but $20, that's 20% of your entire fab budget for the whole year. But I guess you got to do something. So another handcuff for the sex store there by Weaver. And then I think that was pretty much it for the bidding this week. But yeah, Gardner, what were you planning on doing there, O'Malley? Who are you planning to pick? You need a quarterback. And you're trying to trade me. You're trying to trade me like Kyler Murray for Greasy, Mr. Greasy Grease from the Redskins. Dude, it's not going to happen. So I picked up Stafford because I thought he was just too valuable to be on the on the waiver wire. He scored 28, 15, 12, and 23, so he has a good baseline. He averages about, 20 points a game, 19 points a game. Pretty good. So I just don't understand what you're doing here. O'Malley, let's go back to your matchup real quick. I wish you had done this kind of... And I don't understand how your team fucking smoked me so hard. All right, no quarterbacks on your roster currently. So Brisket has a bye. You got Schuster, Woods, Chark. They destroyed me last week, but I don't see it happening. I'm going to pick Jameson Diamond Bill. Jameson Sour here. First team all diamond. He's just got the better team. He's got old 10-point James White, my favorite. Christian McCaffrey, best running back in the league. Best fantasy player in the league. And he's got a lot of this London matchup, which is generally kind of a shit, sloppy game because teams are not well adjusted to the time change. It's just a weird atmosphere. No one really has a home game. But yeah, it's Panthers versus Bucks at 6:30 in the morning. So it could be a Christian McCaffrey type game. We got Kyle Allen going up still for the Panthers with Curtis Samuel. And Yeah, it's just it's going to be a weird game, and you got a lot of people in that game. You got O.J. Howard, you got Christian, you got Godwin, you got Samuel. So this, if any week is going to be the week where Jameson Bill takes a little step back, especially on his bye week, it would be this week. And I guess I say bye week lightly because it's just Terrell Williams, Singletary. So yeah, fuck it, not a bye week. But you're benching Winston against Carolina, which I guess makes sense. They have a pretty good defense there, but let's see what Gardner Minshew had against them. I think Gardner Minshew did pretty well against them. Yeah, 21, 374, 2 touchdowns. It's going to be a weird game Sunday morning. Not sure I can wake up that early. I'll try. But yeah, going to be a weird game. Let's see who O'Malley gets at quarterback. Who's available, O'Malley, at quarterback? This is going to be fun. The who is O'Malley going to play game. Got Mariota. I guess that's Dalton. Why not pick up Dalton, man? 21, 19, 16, 19. I mean, it's not like Baltimore's stopping anybody. He's a real player, man. He's at least a experienced quarterback. So, yeah, might be the one to go with, Andy Dalton. So, that's who I'm wagering O'Malley's going to get. It could be Marcus Mariota. I don't like Mariota. I feel like he always scores 0 touchdowns. Every other week he's scoring 0 touchdowns. All right, I'm rambling super hard. And he's got David Johnson, who also hurt me last week. He did not practice. Johnson's back, locked up. Not that bad, though, because he still went off for 17 on me. So I love how Edmonds' advice is he's barely a flex, and then David Johnson's advice is Chase Edmonds is a must-own. These guys need to talk to each other. These Yahoo writers need to speak to each other. Still available. Would be at worst. A volume-based RB2, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I think Johnson plays. No rush, but that's a huge matchup against Atlanta. So maybe that Edmonds play is going to be good for Weaver. Who knows? I might have to walk that one back. All right. So, yeah, I think it's just too much to overcome for old Charkula. DJ Chark has been killing it, though. He's super annoying. 32 points. Fuck me, right? Pretty much everyone on your team went off against me. Your team's not good, but they're good enough. All right, I got a couple more here. We got Fuck Me Right Colin against Hack and Cack. Brad just rolling with Hawkinson for, maybe no other reason other than his name. So, again, Colin's kind of been that waiver wire free agent pickup type of manager throughout his whole career as a fantasy owner. And it's always elevated him slightly above mediocrity, and he's done that again this year. And it looks like he's going to beat Brad, who historically throughout the year has kind of faded. Might have a strong draft, but then doesn't really make very many moves to improve, and that's the case again for Brad. Only 3 waiver moves, 6 moves total. And Colin with 12 moves, so second most in the league, literally double Hawk and Cox. So Hawk and Cox just sitting there rolling with his team. But is his team that? I mean, I understand why. When you spend like 14 points on or $14 on bench players, that's gonna discourage you. You got Mostert still. Probably could upgrade that position, right? You've got questionable Kirk here. You got a lot of buys this week. Probably could have made some moves for all these buys you have. Royce Freeman, another mediocre back that you could probably improve upon with some waiver pickups. I mean, yeah, dude, you just gotta make some moves. Always look at ways to improve your roster. And you're still rolling with this Jacksonville defense against New Orleans. Yeah, it's not gonna be pretty. Anyway, I got Colin because I think Hawk and Cock is just trying a little bit harder than Scott right now to improve his roster. You gotta do better, Brad. Be better. I love you, Brad. So, yeah, I got Colin in this one. And then the last one, True Comeback Score Waivers, Super Shitty Team. Oh, he took my advice and just named it Super Shitty Team. Well, I wonder if you guys heard that. That was a little bit of a blunder on my part. I accidentally played my theme song again. All right, last one here. True comeback story is actually playing really well. He has a good team. I mean, his second-round pick is Antonio Brown, like we've said over and over again. Evan Ingram being out hurts. Gallman being out hurts. And no one wants to start that shit running back against the Patriots. So you're basically just down a running back this week. I hear Kerryon Johnson is falling out of favor. Let's see if that's true or not down the stretch here. But yeah, it could be a rough week for him. Old Ronaldo Jones against the Panthers. The Panthers are going to be fucking pissed after losing to the Buccaneers in week 2, literally on the 1 yard line for the win. They're going to be pissed. I think they're going to beat up the Buccaneers pretty bad. I don't see old Ronaldo Jones too, as Weaver would call him, doing too well. Roberto Anderson still going to be horrible as is generally true. Yeah, it might be worth a little Sean McCoy start here instead of this random ass Washington wide receiver who scored a combined 5.3 points the last 2 weeks. Regardless, Scott is not even trying anymore. He has one Weaver move, despite his team being complete shit. He's the only player other than Count Chocula to score under 500 points, and he scored under 500 points by 54 complete points. I almost have 200 more points than him on the year. So yeah, I think just by default, it's basically a bye week victory for old comeback story. Couldn't come at a better time with his roster being decimated. So, yep, I got Kyler Barely Newer, Locketed, Cocked and Loaded, New England Empire, Jameson Sour, Fuck Me Right, and True Comeback Story going into this week. Sorry that this was a woefully unprepared podcast. I'll be better next week. Still hoping to get Adam back on it. But, again, with my, with all the shit I've been doing for this record coming out, it's been tough really paying attention to football and fantasy. But I do love the group me. It's something that it's a great escape for my daily life to see all you chuckleheads in there talking shit. I love it. And yeah, I will be in Santa Barbara next weekend. I'm coming Friday and hopefully hanging out with the boys. Saturday we're going to be kicking it, having a few beers, and playing our album release show. And that's when our record is going to come out on Spotify and all that kind of stuff, God willing. So we're really excited about going to Santa Barbara. And I think I'm going to stick around for Sunday, watch football with the boys, and then hopefully do a surprise special joint, just a couple of best friends hanging out pod with Weaver. I'll bring my studio down, and it can actually sound like an actual podcast for Weaver this time. You'll hear what his real voice sounds like on a microphone. Will you hear Bacon? Maybe we'll throw him in the corner. I don't know. It would be nice to have Colin on it, too. But, yeah, looking forward to going to Santa Barbara. It's been about 3 months since I've been there. So, and I feel like all the boys have been out. Side note about Frisbee. I just watched the Sundowners-Condors matchup, and I thought it was awesome to watch all the Black Tide kids doing really well against an elite team like the Condors and against a bunch of AUDL players, a bunch of professional players. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how many Black Tide kids are on Sundowners, but they look good, man, and it's just awesome to see that Santa Barbara Ultimate is healthy and doing well. And I think Tide could have a big bounce-back kind of year. Beating San Diego, I think, was a really big boost for Santa Barbara Ultimate. Not necessarily the top tier guys like Bacon and stuff, but for the younger guys, it always felt like at least in club, like it was like some kind of weird like little brother complex against Street Gang. Like we just couldn't get past them. And then hopefully that didn't carry over into the college season, but I have a feeling it did at times. And being able to beat them a bunch of times this year and then have a bunch of kids get real club level experience before a college season is huge. So shout out to Colin, shout out to Black Fucking Tide, and shout out to Santa Barbara Ultimate. That was awesome to watch. I know they didn't win, but they had a lot of opportunities on the goal line to make it closer, and they just couldn't get it done. Oh, and it's a fucking timeout turnover. I fucking hate it. Like, Laddie gets a big play downfield, has the disc. Instead of running the numbers game and just moving the disc and trying to take advantage of the defense catching up, he calls a timeout, and what happens? Turnover. That shit happens every time. I swear to God. You call a timeout on the end zone, you get the defense in position, rested. It's fucking ridiculous. But yeah. Anyway, it was still fun to watch. It was awesome to see two Santa Barbara teams going at it. It was awesome to see all you dudes out there. Anyway, I am going to be hopefully watching the Panthers game at 6:30 in the morning. God willing, the power's not out. It's going to be tough, but I'm going to try to watch some football this Sunday. Should be fun. And hopefully I get the win over Adam, but I feel like my team's in a tailspin all of a sudden. And I think it's even worse next week when I have some buys, some Panther buys, which I guess isn't that big of a deal. But anyway, thanks for listening to this kind of shitty podcast here. I'm looking forward to hearing Weaver's super hungover podcast. 5 Bud Lights is real tough for Weaver to overcome, especially pounding a quarter of it at a time. All right, well, this is Stewart checking out here. Just a couple of
best friends hanging out, best friends hanging out, best friends hanging out.